Right, here we go. Back again. Back again. Alright, and today it is, a vaccine update. Happy days, right? I'm sure you're all waiting to get it, just like me, of course. And this is from the WHO, and this is yesterday, and they're saying that there are 8 vaccine candidates, and they're in clinical trial, and we'll touch on them in a minute. And like I reported on before, there's a tobacco company that's also trying to make a vaccine for COVID from the tobacco plant. And how fitting is it that a tobacco company who gives us cigarettes no less are now going to possibly give people a vaccine? Ain't that wonderful? I'm sure there's nothing to worry about there. And this is also from yesterday, and it's saying that coronavirus vaccine could come from California with no shot needed. So no needle and no excuses then, right? And it says Verndari of Napa is working on a potential coronavirus vaccine to administer through an adhesive patch. The idea is to take away the pain component, thereby circumventing anyone's aversions to shots, and to make something that can be kept at room temperature that could make the vaccine easier to distribute, especially in developing countries. Of course, we don't want anyone missing out on this vaccine, so it's got to be easy to administer and cheap, of course. It then says Dr. Daniel Henderson, no relation of mine, Verndari's CEO, said the patches could even be sent through the mail. Wow. And use temporary dye to leave a mark on a patient's arm. The patient could then take a photo of the dye and send that to their healthcare provider as proof they were vaccinated. Wow, so there you go. I'd imagine this will be rolled out as soon as it's ready. I could bet you any money, in fact. What a surprise that is, and you know who's going to help out with that? It'll be Jeff Bezos at Amazon. Of course it will. It then says, we really do want to change the way vaccines are perceived, Henderson said. And, of course, this goes far beyond COVID-19. It goes to the global distribution of vaccines everywhere. Of course, you could make them cheaper and have better efficacy and do away with the fear of vaccines. So then there's no excuses for not getting one, I suppose. How great. It then says Verndari's potential vaccine, which the company is developing at the UC Davis Medical Center in Sacramento, uses the virus spike protein, which the virus uses to attach itself to human cells. By introducing that protein into a person's body, Verndari hopes it can train their immune system to recognise the virus when exposed to it, and thereby prevent the person from becoming ill. I see. It then says, Henderson said he hopes to be able to start clinical trials that would test the vaccine on humans this summer. Forecasting when the vaccine might be rolled out, if it works and is safe, is more complicated given that the company is also proposing a new delivery method. Right, so this is going to take a while, as you can tell, but it is coming for sure. This is what the vaccines are going to be. It then says that South San Francisco's Vaxart is another one of the local companies that is working on a potential coronavirus vaccine. Like Verndari, Vaxart also wants to protect people from COVID-19 without giving them shots. Wow! But instead of using a patch, the company is exploring a vaccine that could be taken in pill form, Whoop-de-doo, there you have it. It then says, Vaxart doesn't expect to create the first viable vaccine for COVID-19. Lauter thinks there will be many. Demand for the vaccine will be so high that the world won't have enough resources to get one vaccine in the hands of everyone who needs it. At least not initially. Right. So there'll be more than one that will be distributed by the sounds of that. It then says, in order to make a vaccine pill effective, developers would have to figure out how to make it strong enough to not be killed by stomach acid before the vaccine can do its job, said Dr. Lee Riley, an infectious disease expert at UC Berkeley. But if effective, such a vaccine would be safe and easy to give to a lot of people. Key point, he said. A patch could work well because skin is the body's largest organ and it's good at producing a strong immune response, Riley said. Oh, I see. So yeah, thanks very much for telling us that, Lee Riley, alright? It then says, but finding a vaccine that works is only one part of the equation. Once proved effective, the product has to be widely available, which will be a major challenge if it needs to reach billions of people. Yep, and they're going to make it fucking happen, that's for sure. It then says, one way to speed up the vaccine development process may be to let volunteers be given a potential vaccine or placebo, then injected with the virus or placebo while researchers study the effects. A new campaign called One Day Sooner has sprung up in support of that goal. It's already registered thousands of people, including hundreds in California, who have said they're willing to participate in challenge trials if and when they occur in humans. Well, yeah, it's coming, that's for sure. And as always, would you believe it? They put it all in black and white in terms of how somebody gets infected with a virus. There you go, I've circled it in red. And as always, they're giving the game away. I don't know what more to say than that. That's how you get a virus. And it then says, while such trials would only accept people who are at low risk of developing severe or deadly cases of COVID-19, Morrison knows that asking people if they are willing to be injected with a live coronavirus may sound like a dicey proposition. Yeah, you don't fucking say, right? It then says, this is definitely a significant risk, but it's also a type of risk that is consistent with other risks we let people take, right? We think if you have intelligent and well-educated volunteers, we should let those people make those choices if it's likely that you have a meaningful gain in vaccine development, which to us is as little as one bloody day. One fucking day, right? And in terms of, we've touched on this before, but we'll get into it again. How long does it take to develop a vaccine? A long time, by the sounds of it. And we'll get into it. And this is an essay that's been compiled on 3 different expert groups that done studies on how long it would take to make a vaccine. And the conclusion was 29 years. But to touch on it a bit more, this is where it's from, the EA Forum, 29th of June 2017. And it's an essay compiled by Peter somebody, I forgot his name. But this GSK themselves say it can take up to $1 billion and 20 to 50 years to create and fully distribute a vaccine at scale. And they also, in the report, go on to list lots of different diseases that's we've had in the past, and how long it's taken for them to get a vaccine. And as you can see there, it ranges from 8 years to 22 years on that list. And on this list here, it actually ranges from 23 years to 39 years until they had a safe vaccine, or what they claim is a safe vaccine, right? And in terms of a summary of the 3 reports from the experts, remember, it says, lastly, it's interesting to see the difference between the timeline pointed to by the academic lecturer, 12 to 15 years for medicine generally, and around 20 years for vaccines. The timeline pointed to by GSK, 20 to 50 years, and the timeline implied by the historical record, mean of 31.2 years. Taken together and weighing these 3 sources of evidence evenly, this suggests an average of 29 years for the typical vaccine, though with high uncertainty based on uncertainties in each approach and on many particular vaccines not being typical. I see. But yeah, take your pick. Anything from 12 to 50 years. That's from the experts, remember. And this is from Henry Ford Health System, April 15th, 2020. Why does it take so long to create a vaccine? Because it's well known, as we've just seen, it takes a long time, many years. And it says that the AIDS vaccine has been worked on for 20 years or more, for example, and it's still not out, says Dr. Zervos. But other vaccines have been developed more quickly than that, and our hope is that this one will be ready in 18 months. Wow, there it is again. Although there's always the possibility it doesn't work and you have to start over. So, there you go. Of course it might not work, but there it is again, 18 months. Surprise, surprise. It then says, ideally, current social distancing measures will eliminate COVID-19 and we won't see it again, he says. But if it does come back next winter, hopefully we will be ready with a vaccine, of course. Right, so they might not get us this time round, but it looks like, well, if we get a second wave, which I'd imagine is coming, then who knows, maybe the vaccine will be ready just in time for that, because this is out yesterday, coronavirus vaccine for 30 million Britons by, yep, September, if trial succeeds. Right, so forget all the experts, forget the 12 to 15 years, forget the 20, the 30, the 50 years. This is months. They want this done and rolled out by September if the trial succeeds. And I might be going out on a limb a wee bitty, but I think yes, it's going to get the green light. And this says that the first clinical trial of the Oxford vaccine is progressing well, with all phase 1 participants having received their vaccine dose on schedule earlier this week. Wow, how fascinating, how brave of them, that's for sure. It then says, he said the pharmaceutical giant AstraZeneca had finalised a global licensing agreement with Oxford University, with government support, and added, this means that if the vaccine is successful, AstraZeneca, I think is how you pronounce it, but who knows, will work to make 30 million doses available by September for the UK as part of an agreement for over 100 million doses, right? It then says the UK will be first to get access. Wow. But the government would also ensure that we're able to make the vaccine available to developing countries at the lowest cost possible. Wow, how wonderful, and how great that the people in the UK here, where I am, are going to get it first. Fantastic. And if you've not got any money, don't worry. And speaking about money, this is out yesterday, Sky News. Government to invest £93 million to bring forward opening date of vaccine manufacturing centre. So it's a vaccine factory. And yeah, they're ploughing hundreds of millions into it now. And it's saying that when the centre opens, it should be capable of producing enough vaccines to serve the entire UK population in as few as 6 months. Happy days. It then says AstraZeneca Chief Executive Pascal Soriot told Sky News that he believed the scientists would have a pretty good idea by July whether their vaccine works. And yeah, I reckon it'll get the green light, but time will tell. And however, it says the government's chief medical officer insists a jab is still 12 to 18 months off and has insisted some form of social distancing will still be needed. Of course, they had to get that in there, as always. And as we know, there is a chance, of course, that they might never find a vaccine. And not only that, even if they do come up with one, which they already have, then it might not work. So if that's the case, where are we? We're back to square one. But despite this, the researchers alongside AstraZeneca and other companies are manufacturing 1 million doses themselves by September, ahead of the completion of the trial. So there you go. And before they've even finished trialling it on humans, they're mass producing it. And it then says VMIC's chief executive Dr. Matthew Dukers described the business secretary's announcement as an important endorsement for the centre, which has also received 76 million in private funding. So, I wonder who that could have been. Now, we know that it's funded by this lot here, CEPI, and as you can see from this tweet, that's the 8 vaccines. They fund them all, this CEPI. And who are CEPI? It doesn't sound like Bill Gates. And CEPI is Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations. And that's the logo there. So a lot of people have probably not even heard of CEPI. But yeah, it's fucking Bill Gates. Of course it is. It's the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Right? So there you go. And yeah, there it is there. Founders, the Wellcome Trust, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That's more like it, right? And their motto for the CEPI is new vaccines for a safer world. And of course, what they mean by that is if they wipe everyone out and there's no one left, then it's a really safe world. That's how they reckon they're going to get there. Just look it up. It's there in black and white. The UN tell us. Basically, that's the score. And as you can see, it was only found 3 years ago. What a surprise. And there is a lot of reports at the moment that even if we do, even finding a COVID-19 vaccine won't be enough to end the pandemic. Huh? So, as you can see, and this is from the Washington Post, this is really just the beginning. And like we've pointed out before, life as we know it, it's gone now. And for a while now, we've been in quite of a sort of a standoff. And it's been leading up to a point. And for years, they've been putting a lot of stuff in place. But it's all coming to now. And but now we really are in a fight. And this is only really, in terms of the coronavirus, in the first wave, it's kind of really just the first punch. They are already saying that we can expect more waves of coronaviruses. And not only that, they could be worse. So it could be even deadlier. So God only knows what fucking shit they'll pull then. But 5G will be well underway by then, of course. So maybe that could possibly play its part, should we say. And in terms of the vaccination, it'll be mandatory. I mean, that's for sure. I could bet any money that it will be. It might not be this year that it ends up becoming mandatory to have it. But I'd imagine by the time we get the second punch or the second wave, then it's going to be mandatory. And it's already being talked about in universities and in the media. And I did see Jim Goodman, I believe, reporting on it being mandatory in a certain state in America. But someone could maybe correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, it's coming. The mandatory side of it is definitely going to happen for sure. And here's a guy here, Novak Djokovic. And he's opposed to taking mandatory vaccines. And I like tennis. And I did like this guy before. But I now like him even more. So fair play to him. And hopefully he'll be a voice for the rest of us as well. Who knows? Anyway, that is about it. Bye-bye.